850. How to achieve the magic number in finance. There are many numbers out there that measure many things and help to indicate to people certain characteristics and qualities that an item can possess. The weight of gold, for example, can indicate to a consumer of commodities how much wealth they have acquired. The revenues of a company versus its stock price can indicate to an investor how much value they should place on the stocks issued publicly or privately from that company. But there is a number that can indicate to money lenders, investors, and other individuals how much they should be able to invest in you, among other things. That number is your credit score, and in this video we'll tell you how you can achieve a perfect one, or at least get close, which will indicate to lenders, investors, and others that you are someone worth betting on. But let me first introduce myself. I'm Derek West, host of Finance Squared, the channel that loves everything personal finance, including credit, stocks, crypto. The question then becomes, who might you be? Leave a comment down below introducing yourself and where you hope to be on your credit journey and what you expect to get out of this video. Heck, while you're at it, lovingly, tenderly, gently smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. Anyway, let's talk about the perks of having a perfect credit score. The perks of having a perfect credit score are undeniable. It's one of the ways that you can change the relationship between yourself and the financial world. Instead of you begging companies to lend you money and you accepting the best interest rate that you can get, companies instead are begging you to take their money, competing with each other to give you the best possible interest rate. I'm sure that you know that low interest rates will help you to save money on long-term big purchases of things like homes and cars, which, if you play your cards correctly, can help you become a very wealthy individual indeed, which is a topic for a whole other video. So be sure you're subscribed with the post notifications turned on. But as someone with a near perfect credit score, I can tell you that it doesn't really take that much to get there. Once you understand the principles and apply a little discipline, your journey to a perfect credit score will be pretty easy indeed. For example, ask for extensions rather than paying bills late. So, you should really pay your bills on time. This is the most known tip out there for building your credit score, but it's foundational to everything else. If you consistently pay your bills on time, you're letting lenders know that you prioritize paying them back. Some people do not prioritize that. Therefore, there are larger risks to lend money to. Think about it from your perspective. If you have a buddy who is always late whenever you lend him money, and you had to consistently follow up and ask again and again if you could have your money back, and you had another buddy who always got your cash right back to you without question, on the nose, every time, who would you be more likely to lend your money to when push came to shove? The buddy who you had to cajole to live up to his responsibility, or the one who was Johnny on the spot with the cash at all times? Clearly the one who gets you the cash back reliably every time is the right choice, for no other reason than the fact that you can predict when you get the money back and you can rely on it when you need it. It's the same thing with a credit card company, except they use an algorithm to determine the likelihood of you being the first friend or the second friend. The closer you are to 850, the more likely you are the first friend. And the closer you are to 0, the more likely you are the second friend. I mean, you can still be friends, right? You just have to think twice before lending each other money. But there are times when you simply don't have the money to pay people back. Am I right? What do you do in those instances if you want to keep improving your credit score? Here's a dirty little secret. Ask for an extension. Don't just pay late. If you ask for an extension on your bill, you might get it or you might not. But what you do is indicate to the person or company to whom you owe money that you're going to be short and you're making arrangements to pay them back when you can. When you just don't pay when you don't have the money and you don't communicate, you give the impression, whether it's true or not is a different matter, but the impression is sent that you don't really care about the fact that you owe money to that person or company. You might get to it, you might not. It's like whatever. That's when people start to get antsy over their money. So don't be that person. If you're gonna be late, and you know it, and you kind of want to show it, let people who you owe money know by asking for an extension. In addition to that, maybe ask for forgiveness. Okay, so you might be in a position where you've made a number of late payments in your life and you're thinking to yourself, am I doomed for all eternity with a low credit score? Not necessarily. Although no one knows the closely guarded secret of the FICO credit score, it's been noted that your payment history makes up 35% of your score, and that recent payment history is weighted more than the earlier payment history, which means that if you begin to show that you can consistently pay on time every time, then your credit score will start to move in the right direction. When I first started out repaying my student loans, I got into a position where I couldn't pay consistently every month, and it showed in my credit score, frankly. But when I finally got the ability to pay, thanks to an influx of cash from my job, and I started to pay on time every time, it reflected as much in my credit score and it began to move in the right direction. If you're showing that behavior and you miss a payment and you forgot to let the creditor know you were going to be late, first make sure you pay them back first. then ask for forgiveness. Again, it's about communication. We all experience instances in our lives when things get hectic and stuff just falls through the cracks. At that point, you have to make it right and communicate where you are, why you missed the payment, and your intention to stay on the right course. That level of communication is again instilling confidence in your lender that you are someone that they can bet on, even when things aren't always going your way. Plus, it's often cheaper to credit card companies to be a little forgiving with customers who they have confidence in, who may have had a momentary fluctuation in their financial situations, but are otherwise really on the money with their payments, than to try and find new customers who fit that same mold. Get your credit card footprint in the right zone. Now, I'm not saying that you should not be using credit at all, or that all your bills should be going through your credit card. Depending on how much credit you have, you need to find a way to get the amount that you spend on your credit just right. Not too much, not too little. If you spend no money on your credit card, if you pay your bills on time, your credit score will grow, albeit slowly. But ultimately, you'll hit a ceiling where your credit will not grow anymore because you're not showing that you are paying back borrowed money on time. Now, it is true that measuring your credit score that way means that your good credit score basically is a measure of how good you are at being indebted. If that's something that you don't want to be good at and you just want to pay your bills on time, that's fine also. But the focus of the channel is to teach people how to be so good with their finances that they make themselves rich step by step. Not being in debt is one of the best things you can be, but being someone that banks are confident enough to be willing to lend millions of dollars to is a better thing to be. That means that you know what you're doing, and that means that them loaning you money is going to be profitable for them and for you. But the point is, putting expenses on your credit card is not a bad thing, which takes me to my next point. Don't carry a balance if you don't have to. You do want to use your credit card to spend money, but you need to use it wisely. For example, if you know you spend on average $400 a month on groceries and eating out at restaurants, instead of making those purchases with your debit card, put them on your credit card. Maybe you spend $500 on gasoline. You have a gas guzzler in this inflated economy. Well, put it on your credit card and not on your debit card. The thinking behind this is that those are bills that you will be paying anyway, except with money from your bank account. So get the value from those products and the value of having a nice credit score by purchasing those things with your credit card instead. And paying your credit card off with the money from your bank. Not only is there a benefit of getting a higher credit score via using your credit cards regularly on payments that aren't too large, but there's also the benefit of avoiding identity theft of your bank account information. So really, you're killing two birds with one stone at this point. Which takes me to my next point. Don't carry a balance ever. Okay, maybe not ever. There may be a circumstance or two where, sure, maybe you have to buy a new laptop or something like that, and that is something that you don't likely want to have to pay off all at once. And if you get a no interest payment plan for a year or something to pay it off, then yeah, in that instance, carrying a balance is not a big deal. Just don't make a habit of it. When you keep piling on more and more goods onto that credit card because you've got a no interest or a low interest payment option for a period of time, because that time period runs out. And if you're still carrying a balance after that period of time, you will be charged interest, which means that the cost of whatever it is you are carrying that balance on has just gone up, meaning you now have less money to do other things, including investing, which in the long run, if you do consistently, will make you wealthy. Another thing you want to consider is to ask for more credit, not less. This is a common misconception among finance enthusiasts. That they should keep their credit as minimal as possible. That way you can avoid getting into a huge debt spiral. Does that sound about right? Well, if you're a compulsive spender who has no control over their spending habits, then yes, that would be something you should want to avoid. But you're interested in personal finances, right? Which means you should also be interested in ways to reduce your spending. And you likely already have a budget and other checks in place to make sure you don't go crazy with your month-to-month spending. Which means you should be asking for more and frankly deserve more credit, not less. This is ultimately the subject of yet another video. So much content, so little time. The key point to remember is do not use all of that credit. The point is to be frugal with spending, and that's one of the keys to being great with money. But if you have a higher credit limit, the less likely you are to hit your 30% aggregate credit limit, which is the point at which you get a ding on your credit score for using too much available credit. So if the ceiling is higher, the less likely you are to hit it if you have a month or two where you need to use a bit more of your credit than you're used to. Another great way to get your score up to 850, keep good standing accounts open. This is along the same lines as that last point. You see far too many people close perfectly good credit accounts that are in good standing in an effort to appear more responsible. Again, to the point I just made, you appear more responsible when you responsibly use the credit you're given. Just to reiterate, don't use more than 30% of the aggregate credit that you have assigned to you. and pay back all your credit on time every time. You're also going to want to consider automating your finances. Automation ain't just for assembly lines, folks. The AI revolution is here to stay and here to benefit us all, mostly, in more ways than one. For this particular video, you should find a way to set up automatic payments for as many of your bills as possible. If you're anything like me, you like to keep as few bills as possible and pay them off automatically when the time comes. There are many ways to do that through either your credit cards, your banking institutions, your financial apps that you can download and use, etc. Putting your payments on autopilot is a surefire way to pay on time every time, which is a surefire way to increase your credit score over time, which is of course one avenue that if you play your cards right, you can get wealthy over time. That's not the focus of this video per se, but subscribe to this channel and turn on post notifications to get videos on that topic when they drop. Also be sure to like this video if you like this video and leave a comment with your thoughts on how to get a perfect credit score. Do you have any extra tips that I may have missed? Let me know in the comments down below. Also share with your friends that are also finance enthusiasts and even with your friends that just don't have a clue about their money. And remember, a goal without a plan is a wish. A goal with a plan and no action is a wish list. Take it easy guys, I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.